folks, welcome. Please feel free to sign in sheet.
I think that's where you belong. Donna, why don't you come sit here?
No, thank you. You know what I was just thinking?
What?
If only Shirley was here, you could share the spot.
Me, Shirley? No, she would share the spotlight with everybody.
That's true. That's what we need Shirley.
Yeah. If she pulled the mayor off to Francis Avenue, then you pulled Esposito up there.
Okay. It's gone, it's gone. Yeah, I think everything's functional.
Oh, legit?
We are.
Sound good?
No one has spoken.
I'll think about this.
I think there's a couple participants, but they haven't joined yet.
Oh, okay.
Hello, everybody.
I've been.
Maybe we'll put it here, then everybody can see. We're just gonna wait a couple of minutes. Hi, how are you? So more people come here, so maybe we'll start in 5. Is that okay?
Just sign in.
Crazy. Kennedy started full-time at a school, the Marvin Center. And so she's adjusted to that. And she's so excited to be there, and she did a big long hat. Bouncing off the road.
Yes.
But and Biddy's good too. She's 6 months now. I know.
I don't know, I was there coming out nice.
Yeah,
they are. Their phone is almost
Rolling
done.
all over. Because her teeth are coming.
Should be done.
A little crankier than
Next couple weeks on the state board.
Yeah.
Well, they have to get things like that. Well, they're
They're great.
No, they've won too many fights. Yeah, right.
We are done.
I think they're probably going to dance next for Berkeley, right? After that. Then we have them also for,
Where?
I'm the third oldest.
Third oldest.
Is your brother older or younger? Your brother older or younger? Okay.
Yeah. Third from the top.
Oh, okay.
yeah, they should be closing, closet today. Oh, okay. I don't know if you got a chance to see the bump out that we did a closet in.
It was always.
I did see the curve. I didn't see it all completed. Came out pretty nice.
You're kidding. Oh, Lord, what a reputation.
Sign in. We have a sign-in sheet here. If you guys can sign in with name and address, it helps us so we know who came here. Thank you.
No, there's a, they went on the tree now, and there's a few more people here. And I know Megan's.
And we'll wait 2 more minutes so people.
Yeah. Yeah. We know each other better than Josh.
Didn't work.
Binoculars. Streets.
we was, where I'm grad school, then ended up doing that. You only did that a few years ago.
Yeah.
There was,
Was there?
yeah,
You know, there's.
it's never seamless.
You know, there's.
Nice crowd.
Welcome, hello everybody.
We'll get a few more minutes. Pardon? I have a few more minutes. Well, and you.
Well, news, huh? You're not important. The paper is not here. It's always happened, always cameras taken. Oh, I guess. Look my name there. Oh, get over here, just. I put it on your name. Yeah.
I think college. Yeah, good. I think it's a meeting. Yeah, just sign it.
Those are years. Sorry.
Is that what airline? Oh, Very nice. I did it. Got them Tuesday afternoon. That's what
5 or 6.
I did. Friday was the day that back in summer.
Oh, Lord, you get all that.
No, I thought it was like 30 minutes.
Well, it's about 5:07, so just to be fair to the people that came on time, I think that we should start. For those that do not know me, I'm Vanessa Valadares, I'm the Chief of Operations and Public Works. First of all, I want to thank you guys for first being patient until we did finalize the design, and second, to spend your Monday afternoon here at City Hall with us. Just for introduction, I have Jim Young, he's the principal engineer, he is the head of the engineering department. I have Greg Pacelli, who works on the TMP as a planner. And then I have Mateo Arias, that usually when we go into construction, you're gonna see him a lot, taking care of the paving and all that. He is also a junior engineer at the engineering department. So just for those that didn't have the opportunity to talk to us, when Patty kindly enough had us over at her front yard, we did understand that there were some concerns when the city wanna come and install sidewalks along the streets. I just wanna go back and give a little bit feedback why we're doing it. So now, this administration, we are really trying to improve connectivity and mobility to all types of modal transportation. And now every road that we are doing, we are following what we call a complete street design. So with that, even on places that there was no sidewalks, we are trying to put sidewalks.
grade, last grade, ADA ramps, I'm sorry, ADA ramps, to make it, also handicap accessible for, sometimes even, families that are on strollers or something like that. So that's why, that's what it triggered, this project. So just want to go back how we decided. We have a very, substantial process in deciding which streets we are paving. We have a consultant that goes and they really see every single road in Norwalk every 4 years. So your road will be looked at every 4 years unless if we pave them. If it is paved, it goes to the back of the list. So after they do a visual assessment of it, we put in a formula, an empiric formula, to try to figure it out based on the visual condition, the use of that road, we come up with a number that we call like what is the PCI index and what will be the best return of the value of that investment. So for instance, a road that is graded on a 70, that is kind of East Avenue, for us, needs much more attention than a road that is graded on a 70 that is a cul-de-sac, because there you're probably gonna have 6-7 cars driving every day, where East Avenue ended up with hundreds of cars. So with that, after we have all that, we ended up coming up with a forecast of what are the roads that we're paving the next 3 years. We also take in consideration what other projects in the city. So projects that we are doing some improvements in the area, we tell them which streets we want to work on, and then we will have to change a little bit our schedule and some development. So let's say that we know, I'm gonna use West Avenue as an example. We know that where was the old Y, we knew a couple of years ago that something was gonna happen on that block, and we haven't been paving that road. If you drive on West Avenue, it's not ideal at all. We have a lot of trenches because there is a lot of work happening. After all that is completed, we go back and pave. So with that, now the streets that you guys live on came into our forecast to get done this year. And then again, now follow up what I just mentioned about the complete streets. When we are now paving roads, we're trying to do this connectivity. As you guys may have noticed, we did some work last year on Senga, and the idea is to try to get a connection between Senga and Flex Hill, and people can walk through both major roads. Some people asked me last time, oh, but we don't see people walking from point A to point B. The idea is that everyone in the neighborhood will want them to be able to get to those places as well. So it's not a cut through for pedestrian, it's how we want people to walk around. We are adding sidewalks in a lot of places throughout the city. So it's not that we just pick your neighborhood. Last week, we were in another meeting at Scrivener Avenue. And we are really proposing to do sidewalks throughout there. And also, we were having the same type of meeting with the public as well. I believe that this year we have already done over 25 roads so far. We have paved. And most of them, there was a lot of sidewalk work involved. Most of the time we do the sidewalk the year before we do the. Okay, so the way that we left during the last meeting, we understood that there was a lot of concerns, so we paused. We heard all the comments related to what you guys were concerned about it. And what we did is our team went back to the drawing board and we tried to do the sidewalk based on the feedback that you guys sent to us. So without much more to say, I'm gonna pass to Jim, because I want Jim to go over what we are proposing on the 3 streets. Just before I say that, I want you guys to look at the first drawing, that is the drawing also that is on the screen. The red line is where we're gonna propose sidewalks. But the yellow and green is the roads that we are paving, either this year or in the future. So it is very important that I want you guys to understand that we're putting a lot of investment in the neighborhood. And I know that in the beginning, everybody gets very scary when we say that we're gonna change things. Throughout the process, you guys hate us, we know that, you can call, tell us that, my shrub, I need topsoil, I don't like the way that my driveway works. We know, we have a number for that, that's Mateo, look, Mateo. But I promise that at the end, we're gonna leave it better than what we found, and that is happening on each property, we'll address each property. And if you drive around in some of the areas that we have just finished, you're gonna see that our goal is to make better than it was before. Okay, so I'm gonna let now Jim go over what we are proposing.
Thank you, Vanessa. So, yes, I'm Jim Meehan, principal engineer. Now, as Vanessa stated, we have currently, those of you probably know, we've installed serious sidewalks on Senga and Morton Road and side roads as well. We're now currently in the process of paving the area. It hasn't started, they've already started the preliminary work for that. That's gonna be a continuous thing going on pretty soon. Now, with that, we are also, to Vanessa's point, we're looking to pave, you see the blue lines over here? These are the areas that we're looking to pave following the installation of sidewalks that we're doing. So we're doing, as you can see, Richmond Hill, McCallister Avenue, Francis, Hollow Tree Road, everything around here, and Keith Street. Basically, everything you see the blue area over here, we're designated to pave. We're looking to pave. Eventually, we're going to be paving Flax Hill Road too, but we'll save that off for another time. So in the process of doing so, we want to try to establish concrete sidewalks. We're trying to improve pedestrian safety. So the plan as of right now, and we're gonna get into a little more detail when I start turning these pages over here. You see where the red line is over here. The idea is not to put sidewalks everywhere, but to do it where it's the most practical and least intrusive onto people's properties. We're not planning on removing any trees in this area. If we put them on both sides, we'd be removing very large trees, we'd be causing hazard. We don't want to do that. So we want to try to maximize the amount of pedestrian safety while minimizing intrusion into people's property. So right now, the plan, and again, I will go over this in a little more detail with it, but the general plan is right now is to install sidewalk on Richmond Hill Road from Senga down to McCallister on the west side. And from there, there's going to be a crossover with pedestrian ramps coming to McCallister from Richmond Hill over to Francis. And another crossover to go to the east side of Francis, all the way down to Flax Hill. So basically anyone within the vicinity over there going from Senga could be able to walk down to Flax Hill unobtrusive. We'll do it with actually proper safety, ADA ramps and safe sidewalks. So that being the case, I'll show you the individual ones. Starting from on top over here, as I said before, it'll be a 5-foot sidewalk. The width of the road is going to be relatively consistent with a few variations there, depending on the curvature of the road in particular areas. We're going to be installing a 5-foot sidewalk with a couple of exceptions where anything is going to be a tight fit. But again, we're trying to minimize impacts to people's homes. So with this, there is no issue over here. Coming in with a sidewalk down to this area, we're connecting up to the ones that are already installed in Senga. So there's no issue with that. All the way down. Coming around the bend around here, over to McCallister. There were concerns about, people will say, they were worried about having to remove a tree. We're not doing anything like that over here. So we're not looking to actually remove any trees or cause any hazards anywhere. With this, people will be able to cross. We have to have, if you see over here, we're installing a federally guided ADA ramp. So it's a Americans with Disability Act, for those of you not familiar with the term ADA. We're trying to make everything, standards that are done today are not just by the city standards, but also federal and state guidelines as well. We have to do this, and we want to, because we do want to make sure that everybody who's crossing is able to access it properly. These ramps will go across over to McCallister on the south side and go all the way down to Francis.
What is ramp?
I'm sorry, ramps, a pedestrian ramp. So you ever see, if you see those, Yeah, you may see like a red sort of obtrusion, they have different colors sometimes. It basically goes from the sidewalk, ramps down, just like what it did, I hate to use the word define itself, but it goes down to the sidewalk, to the road rather. So somebody in a wheelchair pushing somebody pushing a baby stroller to be able to access the crosswalk to the sidewalk without having to step up onto a curb. Some people just simply do not have that, that's why.
So you're just saying, to take them away. Sorry.
The curb, so instead of having a 6-inch high curb there, so somebody, most people can just simply step up, but there are people who require actual access, that's why they have a ramp, just like you see your term handicap ramp outside of building, you know, that's what. So we're providing these ramps, and they are standards that how they go about, we don't make them ourselves in the city, the state actually designates that, and they take guidelines from the federal government, so all the ramps themselves give access to anybody from the road, the crosswalk in the road, up to the sidewalk, easy access.
Regarding that crosswalk, will you be installing a stop sign there? That's a blind corner. It's a very dangerous.
Oh, okay,
good.
I'm gonna address that particular issue momentarily, I just wanna go through the first several, I will talk about that, because that comment was made the last time we met. Yes, but we are gonna address that, I will bring that, but I just wanna go through the first thing over here. So as we go down to Francis, the plan is to cross over to the east side of Francis. As you can see over here, we're continuing down and take the sidewalk all the way down basically to,
Okay,
yes,
okay, I'll wait to the end.
Okay,
I'm
all
just
right.
writing down my question.
okay. As you see, it goes down continuously to Flax Hill Road. Now, I do want to bring your attention to one particular point over here. There's going to be relocation of utilities down the pole down there to make access for safe pedestrians and that. With that, we decided it is in the best interest, in order to not take out any trees, make sure things are done properly. There's existing asphalt sidewalks across here on the west side, the bottom. We're going to remove those and install that with a topsoil and seed to make grass in the area. But that will be basically non-functional because people walking over here won't be able to go too farther from that anyway. So we made any, I'll be honest with you, we tried to make changes to talk about what we're talking about over here. We'd be interfering with people's driveways. We really can't do that. There are very steep driveways over there. So this is the areas over here will have continuous amount, but people will be able to cross over and utilize the sidewalks on Flax Hill Road for both directions. I'm sorry, Miss, you were going to 1 second, sir. Yeah, you were going to ask.
Oh, I was just wondering before you go much further, the site, and I didn't know about another meeting, so I may be just.
Okay, not a
Reiterating
problem. You
question.
can
The sidewalks on Sanger, are those what it's gonna look like? Are those 5 foot?
Yes, those are our concrete sidewalks, and that's basically what we are using over here. We will be, so. Yes, sir.
This study, is it based on a pedestrian count? And what is your account for currently pedestrians walking those streets?
Well, I wouldn't say there's an actual study about pedestrians for there. The issue is that it's always hard to say exactly how many people will be utilizing this. I mean, there have been reports of sightings of people actually, part of the TMP and Greg will go into that a little bit more detail. Notices of actual people walking in the streets, you know, but people don't walk in there oftentimes. Is it because they just don't want to walk in there, or is it because they have no access, safe access to do that? Now we put in a sidewalk over here. Will that change that? That's always hard to predict ahead of time, but we have noticed that a lot of places where we install new sidewalk, people do utilize them.
Well, I've lived on Richmond Hill Road since '72, and I'm retired since 2008. And I would bet that on a daily basis, the route you have, if you have 10 people walking there, that's a lot. There's no city bus that goes through that route. There's no school bus. Currently, the children that go to school, it's Brookside and McMahon, and we're too close, so there's no bus. So they get taken by their parents. And if they walk down Richmond Hill Road.
Okay.
All right, to the school, and you're not doing a sidewalk there.
Okay, all right, well, but again, but to that point though, sir, I'll be honest, I wouldn't take that bet because I can't say, no, nobody can foresee the future over there, but to your point over there, the fact that they're walking down Richmond Hill itself, if they have to, is it because they just don't feel like going anywhere else, or because that, to them, that's only seem to play, they seem
Well,
access.
the current location of where. the
Exactly,
future-
but because we have the flat steel sidewalk over there, so if people have an actual sidewalk connecting in, I'm sorry, just 1 second. If you have a sidewalk actually established into there, the idea what the policy of the city now is to establish pedestrian connectivity. But, okay, listen, we have the sidewalk over here, so if somebody who normally might go down Richmond Hill say, hey, wait a minute, why should I do that when I can cut down to McCallister, down to Francis? We want to try to get people, again, it's hard to predict when people would actually go to there, but we want to at least provide them access, and that's what always is the idea of providing pedestrian access, to give people actual safe access. If they use it or not, it's hard to actually predict if people will take a dangerous way to go down Richmond Hill when they have a safe access.
Fast-paced lifestyle, everyone using a car, even the speed scooters. If you see a person walking, you look twice, you say, maybe in our neighborhood, I'd say 5 a day, people walking their dogs.
All right, you know, all right, I'll tell you,
Maybe
yeah,
5 a day, and then maybe 2 or 3 in the evening, walking their baby carriage.
all right, well, sir, okay, but here's the thing. We can go back and forth about that, and I'm not saying you would be wrong, you know, nobody wants to use that, but we're trying to establish this here. Before we get into that, we'll talk about the actual finer points of there. Does anyone have specific issue? Now, you brought up about, I'm sorry.
Can you go again, to address what would?
Yes, about the site, that's what I wanted to do, Miss, your issue about the site distance over here. I do want to talk about the particulars. Now, it was brought up in the last meeting about a site distance issue between the intersection of McCallister and Richmond Hill.
Yeah.
Now, so we have addressed this about, as right now, we are addressing this in a particular way. We are realigning the curb of this area. It's kind of hard to see over here, if you could zoom in today. Now you see the top, the red line over there to the side, that's the existing curb line. We're going to be pushing out the curb to the blue line over there. So what that will do, that will take the curb line for people standing out further. So cars will be going further out into where they're actually stopping right now. And that will take them out further into where every area is actually stopping there. So sight distance wise, it will increase the sight distance for cars coming from any direction. Now, if we do this and we find, hey, this is good, but it's not good enough, we can address a future situation further on after that. We can talk about, I don't want to actually get into possibility of taking out people's bushes or anything, because quite frankly, right now, we don't know what that actually works on. But that's something that can be addressed later. Right now, we're increasing the sight distance for anyone at that intersection itself, coming from both McCallister and Richmond Hill. If it's not sufficient, we try further measures further down then.
You're coming up Richmond Hill Road. That's what it's going.
That's why, coming over here, if we're taking this out, if we're extending the curb out to there.
But my point in asking the question is because no one stops coming across. So if you're coming from the right side of the screen towards the left side of the screen on McCallister Avenue, I live in the corner house right there. No one stops.
But there is a stop sign already.
Oh,
There's a stop sign on McCallister.
Oh, I'm aware. It's not
The other
on my
side.
property, but no one uses it.
No, but then it's different.
So are you saying nobody stops at the stop sign?
So this is different, so wait, let me answer. So the stop sign is still gonna be,
Oh, I know the stop sign is everywhere. My point is.
that is, no one
coming
is
off the
stopping.
street Of that crosswalk that you're putting in
It's
is
blind.
dangerous
blind.
because no one stops.
We can look at it on maybe adding another stop
There needs
sign
to be a
here.
stop sign.
So
before
the
that.
only thing is that,
It should
let me
be a-
just explain to
Should be
you
a
guys.
three-way stop sign, not one.
Okay, all right,
Well,
well, again,
People
well,
coming
just-
down Richmond Hill Road. and
We
cross
can, what we
McAllister,
can do
They don't
is,
look. And I
we
go
hear
up
you.
Okay.
Richmond Hill Road, and I have the right of way, and I always have to stop because the guy turning McAllister.
The only thing is that for us to be able to add some signs, we need to go in front of the traffic authority for that, but this should not be an issue.
But that corner.
Yeah,
We
sure.
hear
Big
you.
blind spot.
This is something.
That's why we are like now realigning a little bit of the curb to minimize what is this blind spot. We saw when we were there.
Coming up, Richmond Hill Road, I have the right
But
of way.
we heard,
Stop it all.
That's the idea, yes.
we'll.
No, you should be able to see the pedestrians without any issue there.
It's a blind spot.
No, coming right up to there.
Richmond Hill Road is a blind spot.
Okay.
It's not that it's a blind spot alone, it's a steep hill and
Okay,
then
all right.
flatten out.
Okay, so
You might
to that
probably
point.
in some
Let me
places-
just one thing. You know, when, for us to get to this design, we use a lot of models before. We understand what you guys think is a blind spot, we do measure. You know, and I'm hearing you, so we're gonna consider the stop sign as another thing related to the project. But where we put it now, the sidewalk, we measure and we know that there is enough way that we can put that crosswalk there in a safe way. Otherwise, we wouldn't put it there. We would have made it on the other side. We have to follow some guidelines when we do that. So that's what
Have
it
you
is.
found out how many accidents have been on that corner in the past?
But there is not many, right? We don't.
Yeah, but
we
one
have
is
a
too
rec-
many if it kills someone.
Yeah, we totally
I
agree, and that's
absolutely
why.
agree,
we-
which is why we're trying to
that's why we
maximize the amount
follow-
of bound
that's
safety
why we
over
do-
here.
We
That's-
design based on some guidelines. We cannot just go and say, let's just put a.
Just so you know, yes, even stop signs themselves at intersection
Yeah.
have to be designed. They have to see, okay, what sites that you have. See, technically speaking, somebody coming up Richmond Hill only has to see the front car over there. By pushing that curb out, you're able to do that. That's the thing. Whether people are actually implementing that is another story, but that's how that gets done. But to what, my earlier point, what I said before, right now, what we're doing is we're increasing the sight distance to help there. If we find this is not sufficient, to your point over there, that's something that we could always look in for something further up as well.
This is Richmond Hill Road, this is McCallister. You come up and you can't see the road.
If I may just jump in real quick, so we have to follow, as Jim and Vanessa alluded to, sightlines per FHWA standard. Okay, so we looked at our standard, okay, we have to measure, okay, that we can still be able to walk a certain distance and be able to see someone at minimum 2 feet tall, okay, which is a small child, be able to see them cross. Based on where this bump out is now, where we're putting this, we measure out where that minimum distance, I should say, is, and we can still clearly see them crossing.
Are you asking, are you
Yes.
telling me that sightline you're changing is on McCallister or on Richmond Hill?
It's on both, because we're
It's on
pulling
both,
this
yes.
out, we're pulling this out here, so back where it is today, see this red line here? That's where you are existing today. Okay,
You're moving it out?
we're moving it out into the road further, yes.
Yes, that's correct. And that by pushing the stop of the car out further into there, cars coming up Richmond can be able to see that.
Smaller, all the way up Richmond Hill.
No,
Just around the
no.
corner. No, absolutely not.
No, if I could just explain, if I may just explain real quick, okay? If we go further up, okay, see this red line right here? That's the existing curb line, okay? So further north on Richmond Hill towards Sanga is 25 to 26 feet, okay? Which we're not changing that. As you come south, further south, as you come toward McCallister, see the red line? See how it widens out here? That increases vehicle speeds. That's been known throughout the country, that when you widen the road, that encourages speeding. So by us keeping speeding, so
So you
by
are
us,
narrowing the
Yeah.
road.
we're just making it more consistent, because once you
Just on
come,
near the intersection.
On both sides.
yeah, we're
Yes.
we're continuing the same width, because once you come south of McAllister, it then necks back into 26 feet. So you have this bump out here, where it widens out here, that just encourages people to speed around the corner to go on McAllister or straight onto Richmond Hill. By narrowing it and making it a consistent roadway width, you then continue, and it makes the road feel smaller, so vehicles tend to slow. You shake your head, but this is national.
But like my experience at that corner, I don't even live there. I live on Francis, but I come through there. My experience on that corner
Mhm.
never has to do with people speeding coming down there.
No.
We go very slowly and carefully,
Yeah.
excuse me, because you can't see when I have to turn left, you have to go very
Yeah.
slowly because the people coming up the hill, you can't see until
Okay,
they're on
just
top
clarify,
of you.
where are you going down?
Down
Richmond,
Richmond,
making
turning
a left
left
onto
onto
McAllister.
McAllister.
Okay.
So people who are coming, now it isn't that often because it's not that much traffic, but if someone is coming up there, you can't see. So people, I find tend to go slower there because we all know in the neighborhood that you can't see anybody coming
Well,
up the
that's a
street.
good thing
So
that you do.
making it narrower, I just,
Well, keep in mind that if you come down there, you're actually gonna be, your car coming down Richmond is going to be basically at the same location. Let's be clear about what we're narrowing over here. It's only in the area of the corner itself. You see as it goes up, that blue line and the red line are going to merge at some.
Right, but over on the other
Exactly.
side of the
So for this
road.
point over here by McCallister, see, you can't really tell, but there's a stop line there. That stop line is going to move out too. So a car stopping on McCallister is going to be basically further out than when it used to be before. which is
McAllister's
what-
not the issue. It's Richmond Hill that's. the
Oh,
issue.
well, again,
Coming
coming
up
down to there.
The hill. on
Oh, so
Richmond Hill.
you're worried about somebody coming up Richmond from the other direction,
You
but that's.
can't see them
Well,
until they're at the top of the hill.
Because of over there, well, I'll be honest, that's around the bend to your point over there, there's quite little that could be done about that per se.
Right,
other
but
than-
my question is, why then are you narrowing the road if that isn't the
We're
issue?
we're only narrowing the road down at the corner, and that is in order to have cars coming out of McCallister. Making either right or left, be able to stand out further than what it originally was and be seen by cars coming up or down Richmond. And that's what.
But you're also narrowing the opposite side of the road where the.
No,
sidewalk
we're
is.
not narrowing the other side of the
But
road.
he
because-
just said the red line is where it is
Narrowing
and the
this,
blue
yeah.
line is
But
where.
we're shifting that over to
So
there,
that's
so this is
narrowing
why.
the road.
Yeah.
But we're checking there, but the radius itself, is the radius actual curvature is going to be improvement for pushing it out into there. It's going to be more in an open area. Now, and by the way, I just want to point out something else. When you this is by mentioned about federal highway guidelines. Greg just mentioned that before. There's guidelines, but if you put a stop sign anywhere, federal highway guidelines actually regulates how that gets put in. Now, if you're saying there's a trouble coming up Richmond because it goes around a bend there, then to be perfectly honest,
It
that,
doesn't go down.
well, again, but at that point there, but that's actually a factor in whether or not you can put a stop sign there, because let's say we put a stop sign over there, right at Richmond, northbound at McCallister, let's say we put a stop sign there, and let's say there's not enough sufficient sight distance coming around that bend up the hill there. Well, a car stopped over there, a car unfamiliar comes up, could ram into the car that is actually stopped there. That's why stop signs are not put in arbitrarily. They're not just simply say, well, you know what, let's slow people down over here. There actually has to be criteria to establish where and how a stop sign is put in and what location.
If you put a stop sign at McAllister and Richmond Hill, that's such a steep hill, as I said, you come up, you can't see the top of the hill, you cannot see over. If you put a stop sign there in the winter with ice and snow,
That's right. Go back to what I said. So as of now, we're not proposing the stop sign there. We're proposing changing the curb to try to make it a better sight line. And if we needed to add some stop signs in the future, we'll have to go through a process. First, we need, again,
So this doesn't solve the problem.
I actually,
this, well, I think that this will make it much, much better.
I actually agree. Living in number one, I watch people blow in every direction dangerously at that intersection.
yeah.
And I think because people can scoot around that corner, you can take so wide without stopping at the stop sign like they do. They do go faster. And actually, I come up Richmond Hill South, Richmond Hill up to my house all the time. Because I go to Brian High School just with my son. And with that, you take your life in your hand because of people coming southbound by Sheena's house are going to just blow through. They won't stop and make a thoughtful left. They just blow around it because they have enough width. So I do see where that could
And
help.
I already had two cars in my
In your
front
front
yard
yard.
who came up McAllister, didn't stop at the stop sign.
And if I may just jump in real quick, just to piggyback off what you mentioned. You know, we're doing this all throughout the city to lower speeds and also tightening radii to lower speeds coming around corners as well. We're trying to make this intersection better. And this is what we've done in the past. This is what works. This is what nationally has been being done and what we're being, we've done to all these sessions and FHWA officials and others have taught us these are the practices that work best. So that's why we're proposing this. We're not just throwing this on the wall and say, oh, I hope it works. These are all proven countermeasures that slow speeds and provide a safer network for all roadway users.
And also, since we're on that intersection, one thing that we heard a lot, I don't think that the homeowners are here, but we had two homeowners there that they were concerned about their driveway for people that were there. That they said that they couldn't be able to park all the cars, and we ended up not even touching. Actually, they're gonna gain. We ended up, that's the part that moving the curb out will not gonna affect at all the length that they have on the driveway. So for those two properties, there will be no change on, because they had the impression that the sidewalk although it's our right of way, would be taking some of their parking land.
Actually,
Since the pod's gone, things are better.
can I just, Miss, go right ahead.
I live on Francis Avenue, and so I have a few questions.
Okay.
So what will the parking situation be like once the sidewalks are installed? So will there be no parking signs put up, or will there be part of it?
What part of,
No parking all the way up and down Sangha.
Right,
well, that's on
Well,
that
it
one
is
side.
different.
right, but it used to have parking on both sides, and it
Right.
was somewhat navigable, whatever.
So let's go
But
back to
now
her
it's
question. Wait,
narrower.
let her, she has been being very
I'm
good.
sorry.
Let's answer her question first. What is your house number, please?
27.
27.
The sidewalks are coming 5 feet onto their property.
Yeah, so, and then the thing is, our driveway, we're kind of on an incline, right? And so.
We are aware of that, yes, yes,
Okay.
we actually are aware of your house and your two neighboring properties. Your driveway,
let
I would simply
her-
say your driveway will not be, yes, affected.
Okay, and
percent.
then there's like an extension to our driveway.
The exact layout will be coming out to there, it will be worked onto there, but we're not looking, that's the thing, we don't wanna impact people's homes in a negative way. We're gonna provide you access to your driveway, that's, you're gonna have, your driveway itself will not be, altered in a way that you won't be able to use that.
Okay, and then
That's
what
right.
happens to mailboxes that are within that 5?
Oh, we readjust
We
those,
readjust
yeah,
all of
they'll,
that.
Okay.
So what is the parking? Let's go back to the parking because we haven't answered that.
So yeah, I mean, the part, it's a tighter street, obviously, you know, in a perfect world, you know, we'd love to widen the street, but it is tight as it is, you know, we have the trees along here, so we're maintaining the existing curb line that's here today. Okay, so we're not looking to, you know, bring the curb into the road along this easterly curb line here, so we're retaining it the same way. Obviously, it does get tight, especially through these few houses here, so we have done some parking counts, obviously, it is a heavily parked street. So like this stretch right here is the narrowest, and then as you go further south, that's where we're, you know, we have a little bit wider of a street, where parking on both sides is a little bit easier. But we'll look at this, examine this area here where it is tighter, because obviously those cars will have to be in the street, so that we make sure that two cars obviously parked next to each other, then, you know, it's not passable. So this short stretch here, we'll have to look at signage to make sure that it is passable when a car is parked on the street.
But as of now, it's important that you guys here, we are not changing the proposed code.
No.
You know,
That's staying the same.
So it will
On
stay
Francis.
exactly what it is.
Mhm.
The sidewalk goes behind, is still the right of way. But if we need to eventually in the future adjust a little bit the parking to make it better for people to drive by, we may.
And like I said before, just one second, I'll come to you. We did do parking counts along here, so we did do our due diligence along here. We collected counts throughout the day, even at midnight, we had crews out there that went and looked at the parking counts for all three of these streets, you know, at night when everybody's home to ensure that, you know, we have sufficient parking, and we have seen that on Francis Ave, so we'll take that all into consideration, but we also need to make sure that it's passable through here, especially where it does get very narrow.
So you're saying that you're not taking the street,
No.
okay, great, fire engines, emergency vehicles.
Yeah, no, we have to, we have to keep it available for emergency services that need to get by, so we, you know, we have to, when we look at that, especially through this tight section here, we'll have to look at that. Ms.
My
Lino.
concern is, it seems, and correct me if I'm wrong, that Francis Avenue was chosen because you wanted to pave our street anyway. And I'm wondering why, like, Woodlawn wasn't chosen, which is a wider street, has sidewalks partway down already. And they don't seem to have the parking issues. We have multifamily. As you know, multifamily houses, our neighborhood is, our whole neighborhood is small lots, very small driveways. Everyone has at least one car.
Right.
As she said, going down the street at any given moment, you're doing this, you have to stop and let another car come. It seems to me that Sango was not improved with the sidewalks. I
No.
personally think they're an eyesore. These, you know, like maybe asphalt could have been less glowing. There's less parking available because people would pull up on the grass, or they had their own little things built where they could be off the road. And so it seems to me that once the sidewalks went in and people then started parking from the sidewalk out, that then someone realized, then it's barely passable and it's more of a main road. And now there's only parking on one side of the street, and that's my fear. There is not enough parking on Francis on one side of the street if you decide to do that.
Well, just to be clear, on Senga and Morton and all the side streets there, we did not change the location of the curb. The curb was always at a particular location.
But it's a
Now, I understand what you're
giant
saying, that
curb
people are, but
you know.
but to your point, though, people parking on the grass over there, I'll be perfectly honest, that's illegal parking. People are not permitted to do that. That's the issue over here. So we did not change the alignment of the road. We did not change the edge of pavement alignment there. If we can't, unfortunately, as a policy for not just Norwalk, but any municipality, we can't try to do something to accommodate illegal parking. That's just not something that gets factored into there. So if it's something that it just does cause a problem, it's being unpassable, then to Vanessa's point, that's something the traffic authority would consider in terms of regulating parking in some fashion. But that's just
But
something
right,
that
but
has to
that's
be,
what I'm
yeah.
saying. So now, like on their street, there aren't that many people who park in the
Okay,
road.
let's-
On Francis Avenue, most houses have at least one car out in the road. And if you limit the parking to one side of the street, where are all of us supposed to park
Well,
our
Taylor, can you
cars?
go to the next page? So you have, see how it starts to widen out here? So this is where it gets, this is where obviously parking on both sides will remain. We're gonna have to look at this, okay?
Yeah.
Especially where it gets into
My
20
car has
feet.
been hit twice in front of my house.
Mhm.
If I park my car in front of my house and someone parks directly opposite me, there still isn't enough room for two cars to go by. And I have had on two cars, the taillight clipped. And I like go up on my curb and then come back down, so I'm right against the curb. I think, there's a lot less room on these back roads than maybe you've taken into
But we're not taking the
consideration.
road again, we're just
Yeah.
heading the side over.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not, that's the thing. And like Jim alluded to,
If-
you're not allowed to park on the grass.
Right, you're not allowed.
That's the thing,
No,
that
I
we
understand
can't
but you
accommodate as
can't
policy
park-
illegal.
You also can't park on opposite sides of the street,
Well-
down, even at the wide.
But I know, and then you said you were concerned about parking only on one side of the street.
Exactly, I just don't think it was the best street to have
But
sidewalks put
you
in,
know,
just because of the
The
nature
sidewalk
of the street.
doesn't affect the park. Let me just put one thing
Right, yeah,
clear.
because the curb is the curb.
The curb is already there. The amount of asphalt that we have on the road, we're not pretty much changing. At least on Francis, we're on those other ones. Now, but people park illegally. Now, it is not right that, and I'm sorry if one of you are like that. You guys are taking space where you're not supposed to park. But now we cannot put a sidewalk where people can walk through, you know what I mean? That car ended up going
But
out
is
to
it-
the
but
road.
is it worth it? Because I don't know who made the point. On Francis Avenue, if we get 5 people a day, that's a big day. To go through all this, disrupt people and, not to mention the
It
fact that
is-
now we all are gonna be responsible for shoveling 5-foot sidewalks after the plow comes through, which it will be virtually impossible. Dumps all that snow on the sidewalk. A lot of us are elderly, we can't shovel that. It just seems like a lot of hardship for the random 5 people that
Well, we
might
don't
use
think
the
it's
sidewalk.
only 5, but again, this is now like the policy that we have now in all. That we are adding sidewalks. We are trying to get people to use less their car and use other type of
But
transportation.
Norwalk isn't a walkable city.
But that's what they are trying to bring it to. That's the
Still
whole
not-
idea.
Right
It's not
That's
gonna
the
be a
idea.
walkable city.
Well, right now we have
Okay.
265 miles of sidewalk in the city, so we're just trying to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, one of the things that, on Senga, with one side parking, they now park 4 parked cars on Richmond Hill. Because they don't have any place.
They do.
On corner.
And the corner of Richmond Hill from Senga, because they don't have any place.
Again, I can only emphasize the same thing I said before, that we did not change the curb location on Senga or Morton.
No, you eliminated the parking.
No, there was no, what they were doing before was illegal parking.
Yeah, they were
That's why they're
parking.
driving up onto the grass there, which they're not supposed to be doing. That's the thing. That's why when we come in with these design concepts, we can't factor in illegal parking. That's just not something that's, no municipality would do that.
Let him now answer.
You did your
thing on Senga with the sidewalk. I get down Senga. The city bus is coming up. I can't go down. Either he has to wait or I have to wait. Where did that come in your analysis?
The garbage trucks.
I mean, you might as
Even
well make
without
Senga a
somebody
one-way
parked there,
street,
you
because
can't
when the
drive off the
buses,
road. So it
that's
must
a
have come.
regular bus.
But there
route.
is enough width. You know, there is enough width. The
No,
thing is,
Oh,
no, there's
no,
not-
You have-
not enough.
Maybe you measured it,
No,
but the
no.
car, you know, various cars are pretty
well,
big these
that's why
days.
one part is out, but you know, when we go there and measure, there is plenty of room. The
Well,
thing is that,
You drive
Again.
there at the bus stop or the car stop, they don't.
but you
both
know,
go at the
again,
same time.
unfortunately, some people drive differently and all that. But again, let's,
I disagree, the bus and the car can pass, the problem is that there's somebody parked in front of the car that's coming up.
Right.
and the bus has to stop. So it's not that the road is wide enough.
because
for
we
buses
have
and cars.
enough width,
Because
and,
it
and
is.
I'll be honest, Greg likes to narrow a lot of the roads and I push back because I don't want the narrow, so we fight all the time here when we are meeting internally. For him, we had a 9-foot lane, and I go like no less than 10.5, right? So
Well-
that's why we know that we can, we fit, exactly because when we have the plow, you know, I'm responsible for the snow removal in the city. I know exactly how much space I need to get the snow out. And that's why we know that we need some type of road.
And when-
Are you taking 5 feet of our, I know you have.
I'm sorry, pretty much just,
Oh, I'm
there's
sorry. I
someone,
didn't-
is that if we raise our hands, it's better, so we have the opportunity for everyone to ask questions.
Question. Have you ever thought about allowing people to widen their driveway instead of having it just as wide as their garage? Adding a second lane in their parking and their driveway. So they
This
can
doesn't
park
belong
off?
to us, it's planning and zoning. Yeah, we have no jurisdiction over private property.
Because I applied for it, and I went to planning and zone because I have 2 cars, and I was gonna have my handicapped sister living with me at that point. And I needed to be able to get her out of my car into a wheelchair in my driveway. My driveway is only as wide as my garage door, and they said, nope, I would have to go before the board in the field.
You can always, exactly, you can always go for a variance. Yeah.
So when can we expect for this to happen?
So, when we paused last time, what we wanted is that, so again, we kind of pretty much finalize the design, we wanna just award the contractor. That hopefully we'll have in another couple of months. We don't think we can pave these roads this year, but we are hoping that at least we can start the sidewalks this year. Again, we are already in August, by the time that if we get the approval. This month, by the time that we have a contract is another month. So let's say we are now mid-September. And you know, we're busy throughout the city, but let's say that they are able to mobilize maybe in October. Then October, we have up to the end of the year just to do the sidewalks. And it takes a little bit of time because we do a little bit of prep and all that. If it is not too cold, we are able to work through the winter. We cannot pave though. Yes, I think she just wanna finish and then I'll get
It's
you.
just because of what you're saying, so she'll be starting middle school, and I know that there is a bus stop
Congratulations.
right at the corner of Francis and McCallister, so if the construction starts happening.
We do not affect any of the bus stops. Plus, we talked to the bus company, they know everything that we are doing. If by any chance we need to move the bus stop for whatever reason, they have to call them. Joanna, that is the person responsible for transportation, she doesn't allow us to do any changes. So, for instance, now we are having major shut off on East Avenue this coming weeks. And we're changing throughout a lot of the buses. So we are not expecting any changes.
Okay.
Usually we have bus stopping on pretty much every single road that we do work. And we know the schedule, the guys stop, they wait for the buses, they get picked up, we make it safe for the kids. Safety is our priority, so we're not gonna say things. I just wanna get back to him first. Yes.
Yeah, actually, I just want to know, we have to shovel the sidewalks, right? And we have it shoveled. If somebody falls on that and wants to sue somebody, do they sue the city?
They sue the city all the time. Yes, and then what happened is that's a very good question. So As of today, maintenance of the sidewalk is responsibility of the homeowner. It is on the ordinance, right? But we give 24 hours for the sidewalk to be clean.
You mean that's the way it is now?
It is
Yes.
now, yes.
If we don't have a sidewalk, how's it, and we're gonna have one in the
Yes, so
future?
when you have one, you're gonna be responsible for it. It's part of the ordinance. No. Guys, the homeowner, as of today, you get one, you get the responsibility with it.
But I mean, everybody's yard is different, like my yard may come down like this, and then go down. You're gonna come up to where, to make a sign. You gotta come up on, onto where we have grass now.
41.
41 Francis?
Yeah.
No,
Richmond Hill.
Richmond Hill.
It comes down a little.
We will take a look.
Like it takes 9 feet of it.
We're going out on the curve on that one, right?
No, we're maintaining the same curve.
So,
So are you gonna take property?
no.
We're not taking
We're
anybody's
not
property,
taking-
everything's in the right of way, everything's in the
That is
city
not-
right of way. No,
That's fine.
We're not taking any.
no, it varies with each house, for the
Let
most
me
part.
just explain one thing that sometimes people get confused. Not necessarily the end of your grass area is the end of your farm. If you get a surveyor or we have what we call the property line. So in your case, can you zoom in there for me, please? So the property line is this black dot. So all that front yard that you have, that is probably a good 7 feet from what I can see. It is what we call the city right of way, so it is the city property, so you do,
Onto our property?
right there, let me explain to you better. Right, and you go, just show them, this is the road,
So this-
right,
so
all
here's
that
your-
area is not,
Here's
it
your
looks
road,
like your property, but will not be.
here's your road, and see these two lines right here?
Yeah.
So everything between these two lines is called the right of way. Okay, so that is all within the city's jurisdiction. And then everything beyond this line is property owned.
It looks like it's approximately, in this case, approximately 15 feet behind the curb, is where the,
In that space there that you just pointed.
yes.
If somebody falls where you just put your 2 fingers,
Mhm.
who's responsible?
If a
You?
person fall,
the city,
so
us.
if a person fall there, they will always file a claim against the city. What will happen is that if we get a claim, right, we have a third party that sees the claim. Let's say that it fell because of, I don't know, there were some debris on the sidewalk, right? Then they may say, oh, it was no one's fault, it was a storm and all that. We get the thing, and we have seen up to now, we receive a lot of claims on a daily basis. That the company say, okay, go file the whole, go to the homeowner. The only thing that the city does, we request that you guys keep it, you have 24 hours for the snow to remove the snow. If you haven't, if it is a little bit icy and someone falls, is also, I think that you are like kind of excused because you already removed the snow, you know, it's just kind of icy on that sense. And that is the right of way, it's not in your property. So,
When you put the sidewalks in, do I then have to tell my insurance company I need coverage for that?
I
If
don't
something
think so,
happens?
because the sidewalk is on our property,
Yeah,
it's
but
not on yours.
if someone slips.
They,
on it,
the claim comes
They're
to
gonna
us.
sue me anyway.
Yeah.
It's if you get a lawyer and someone falls, you're gonna sue the homeowner and the city.
Then I
There's
do
no
not know the
question about
answer to that, then you should talk to your attorney and then see how he would direct you, I'll be honest. I know that the cities would be our property, if you want on your will, add that to your insurance, you have to talk to your attorney and see how he advises. Go ahead.
While we're on the subject of snow removal, I don't know why, but when the plows come through. Higher at the end of my driveway, it's 3 times higher than higher on the other side of the street. Can you direct the plows to dump the majority of the snow not on the sidewalk?
I
side of
cannot
the
give you
street?
this answer now because I need to see the angle that the plow is coming and how we plow the road. So that's
It's
the
been this
problem.
way, I've been in the house for 30 years, it's been this way for 30 years.
So there is a whole thing that you can send me again your address and then I'll talk to the driver on that route to see if something can be done. But you know, when we plow with the plow at a certain angle and otherwise we cannot
If
clean up.
they just come through opposite what they do now, instead of coming through on one side and then having a whole pile to dump on the other side.
I have
If
to
they
again.
reverse it,
Can we talk about that separate? Feel free to email me and give me what it is and then I'm gonna look, because I don't wanna take anyone's time about
well,
talking
I think
about
a
it.
lot of people are concerned about the snow on this.
No, but not about it specific, about how the truck plows in front of your house.
Well, we are, I mean, we're neighbors, so I mean, we have the same problem.
Yeah.
See, yeah, but
we'll talk about that
again,
after.
this is
It's
not,
related
this
to
is
this.
not a how to improve the plow route meeting. I wanna kind of make sure that you guys are understanding what we're proposing.
Isn't it
But
gonna
you
get
understand that people are raising that concern because you're
I-
creating a new additional
Yeah, but we're gonna
problem
have
for them
all
to
kinds
plow,
of
right?
Snow to
Yeah.
take off, and it's gonna be all plow snow.
Having,
The,
But,
The-
okay, I want, I think, before we, go further, I just wanna make one particular point, in discussion. I know a lot of people, when they hear that this new sidewalk put in front of their house, they don't like the idea that they have to shovel it. Well, unique just to Norwalk. I used to work for a municipality in New York, and this is the same way everywhere. The state gives us jurisdiction to either say, hey, the city will take care of the sidewalks, or they'll throw the responsibility onto the homeowner. Now, the reason that most municipalities, I'm not aware of any municipality that takes on the responsibility of the sidewalks, cleaning them off themselves. The reason is not because we don't do it, because it's actually as a benefit to the residents of the town, because the reason is we have approximately 160 of sidewalk right now in the city of Meyer. I'll be honest, that has to require purchasing equipment. That we do not have the manpower or the equipment to deal with something like that. Your taxes are gonna go way up for something. You gotta understand how this, excuse me, yes, please. This has to be clear. Sidewalks are not plowed in the same manner that roads are plowed. You can't just, with the plowing a road, you're driving, you got a big shovel right in front of the big truck and you're just driving through. But with the sidewalk, you have to pull over, you have to drive equipment over, park, unload, take sections out there. And when you're dealing with that 165 miles of roadway, I can give you a statistic from a previous place I worked with, but for a 6-inch storm, we just did a sort of approximation. If we try to deal with that, it would cost the city approximately $500,000 to plow the sidewalk in that area. So that's just for a simple 6-inch storm. That's an approximate value, but if that's in mind, most residents would not like the fact that their taxes would go up extremely high.
Right.
With something of this manner. That's why the responsibility, that's why most municipalities, and that's not unique to Norwalk, that's everywhere. Most municipalities, not just in Connecticut, but in New York as well, will have the responsibility of clearing the sidewalks on the property owner, not because they don't like the property owner or they don't want to deal with it, it's because it is too costly and the taxation of this is something too extreme that most homeowners feel it's just simple enough just to shovel the sidewalk or pay some high school kid $20 to go out and just shovel the sidewalk. Yeah.
like 60.
Oh, yeah, well, the same thing there. But at that point, you'd have to hire personnel, obtain additional insurance, purchase equipment and we couldn't possibly cover that much amount in 24 hours. And which makes it unsafe if that doesn't get into there. That's why.
let me
Yes,
ask
yeah,
you a question.
keep
I wanna-
waiting for
I
a while.
wanna-
Gentlemen, please wait for a while.
We need to wrap up in 5 minutes, so what is your question?
Yes.
I just want to see the visual on 4 Richmond Hill Road, because that house is on a hill. And there is like a ramp of rock, and we have a stairway that leads into the house. And we wanted to know if
For Richmond Hill?
down, yeah.
That's clear of the sidewalk.
That's good, okay.
Yeah, that's sidewalk, yeah. We're not going south of McCallister, up in, Richmond Hill itself. Yes,
I just have a couple more questions. We physically aren't able to shovel the sidewalk, so what happens if you don't?
You have 24 hours to shovel the
And then what
sidewalk.
happens?
Then there is another department that has enforcement, and then they're gonna send a letter or a fine.
Okay,
Or the sun.
Maybe it's less than what I have to pay somebody to shovel it.
I have no idea how much is.
also, maintenance of the sidewalk. Going a few years down the road, the sidewalk. I don't know what happens, but the sidewalk needs maintenance. Is that your responsibility or?
No,
do you
it is
push it
Technically,
down?
it is there,
It is- it is,
But,
yeah.
you know, I
It
know
is-
somebody got hit with like $40,000 of sidewalk repairs in front of their house and they were.
All right,
I'll be
But-
honest, wait, I wanna answer
Okay.
that one. I'll be honest, since I've been the chief, I haven't sent one letter out forcing anyone to do their own sidewalk. I actually sent my crew 3 times last week to fix a couple of tripping hazards. You know who gets the 40,000? It's people that are doing nothing, that they are parking on top of the sidewalk. And then there is no, and usually it's commercial places. It is very different, and I'll be honest, when you come here and talk to me, if there is a way that I can help you, we'll help you. Now, it is by ordinance that the homeowner is responsible for the maintenance of the sidewalk. A concrete sidewalk will last a good 15 to 20 years. So the maintenance
that's-
is pretty much almost zero.
Right, but in 15, 20 will probably be gone, but.
But you know,
But
in 15, 20
that's-
years,
that's
we may be
a lot.
back, you know, in 15, 20 years, we may be back on the street. And all the time that we go back to the streets, and that's another thing that we take in consideration. So a lot of those letters that do not go out, if it is a tripping hazard, I've been sending my guys there, right? And the other thing, sometimes you feel like a bad asphalt patch, but you know, again, we know that we understand the burden. Now, if we know that we're gonna get to that street 2 years from now, I say, let's just do a little patch there. When we get to the road, we're gonna fix that side. So probably in 15 years, we're gonna repave those roads and then we're gonna end up doing the sidewalk.
But it doesn't affect me, but you're putting down concrete, which is superior to asphalt, so
Yes.
has longer durability, right?
Yes.
That's why we.
And to add to what Vanessa just said there, to want to know that sidewalks constructed today are much different, much more durable than it was
Yeah.
20, 30 years ago. We put reinforcing steel in there. It's 5 inches up. Mateo does a very good job of setting this stuff up. And we put a strong base to make sure it's compacted. So it's engineered. It really is. So these, to Vanessa's point, 15, 20 years, I've seen some of the ones that are 20 years, we're still very strong and still lasting very well. So most of the time, is something absolutely guaranteed never to deteriorate? No, we can't say that. No structure is. But oftentimes, these things are made as strong as possible to something that's actually practical.
My last question is.
Hold on, can I
I'm sorry.
just let the other
Sure.
people answer?
That where it ends and across to, McCallister. That you expect people to cross there. There's no safety for children or anyone else to cross in that one spot. How will you get children across that area?
From Richmond Hill on to McCallister.
Yeah,
I'm not following,
The crosswalk.
right.
the crosswalk down the bottom
You
there, yeah.
expect people to cross there, you want to make it connectivity. That's a terrible place for anybody to cross.
That's the worst spot.
It is.
Put it, I'm sorry, that.
Listen, we checked all the sight lines,
Yeah,
they
we
all meet the
checked.
minimal requirements. I think, I understand that, and I understand when you're looking at it today, you may say that is an awful spot. But you have to understand, this is gonna look totally different when this is done, okay? It's not gonna look the same. I understand, I know that.
But we're pushing the curb out, so
Yeah.
we believe that the bush will get back. If needed, we're gonna go back and actually be trimmed.
So you pushing that, I don't see that one on McCallister, Richmond Hill being pushed out.
Oh, yeah, we're pushing a lot out.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, and that's why the sight lines.
It's at least.
I understand that, but
5 to 7
again,
feet.
this is gonna look a lot different, and also, don't just look at it from what we're gonna do with the sidewalks, also look at it, there's gonna be signage and pavement markings as well, that are gonna alert drivers that there's a crosswalk. Okay, it's not just gonna, I know you roll your eyes, but you have to be aware of what's gonna be changed when you
Plus,
do
you
it.
guys see a plan, it's very hard for you guys to be able to really understand what is coming out, like, for us, it's very easy, we know exactly what is that, but the wrong way, but it's sometimes we know it is very hard to understand when we're saying we're gonna move the curb and you say, this is not gonna work, you know? So I'm just wanna ask you guys to give us the benefit of the doubt, you know, and again. The same way that we are here for the second time to talk to you guys, we're gonna continue be here. So as soon as we start the project, you guys gonna receive a notice letter. We notify everybody in writing and we'll explain there will be a number and all that. You're probably gonna see Mateo there almost every day, you know, don't drive him too crazy, please. But you know, and also we ask everybody to call customer service and put up the complaints and the requests so we can have a login and we go back and do the punch list. We're still gonna be here, so even though after there are a few things, for instance, with the bush, with the stop sign, with something else, we are still here, meaning we wanna make it work. So that's what we're proposing, and we're gonna continue here even after the project is complete, if we need to do some minor adjustments. Just gonna go to her, you, and then you. Okay.
Question, on the east side of Richmond Hill, what is the green line?
So that's the new proposed
So
curve
you're gonna
line.
extend that out too? Okay.
Correct, yeah, so this way it's
your
consistent.
house will look like as if you're gonna have a longer front yard, but it doesn't change your property line.
I know
The
that.
property line is there, but you know, it will
Visually.
seem as, visually, it will be as if it is big.
Okay.
Yeah, for Francis Avenue, is there any way you guys can put in speed humps? People.
We don't
No,
put speed humps
no.
anymore.
No more.
It is a no, if you're the third person asking
I
me
know.
this today.
Yes.
Had to ask.
So
No,
we
I've seen
don't.
that.
So I'll tell you how is the speed hump policy. If we pave a road that already had one, it is godfather in, we put it back. If it is a new road, we don't add it. We don't add for two reasons, drainage and also because of the emergency vehicles. It delay them. They don't like, we don't put
What
it.
about rumble strips that would alert them that it's a crosswalk coming?
Well, we're gonna make it look safe and all that. There are signs before.
You mean the ones with the double yellow line? The ones with the-
You know,
the
like
double
on
yellow?
the highway, when people start to veer to the right, and the rumbles.
Yeah, but that's typically when you have a shoulder
Yeah,
side,
we don't
we don't
put
really
it
have
like
much of a shoulder.
before. It's on the side lane.
Are you seeing that people are going out of the lane? I mean,
No, I was.
No, but-
that's the only reason we do something like that, yeah.
Those where Senga comes out to Scribner. You have those giant signs. Are those gonna
Flashing
be
beacon sign, yeah.
what's at every crosswalk in here?
Why don't we proposing that?
Okay, and my last question is, I think you mentioned, that the right of way is different for each house. Can we find out what the right of way is in front of our house?
Yes, what is your house number?
11.
11 what?
Francis.
11 Francis, I'm sorry. That's right. And also, what about we have all the utility poles on our side. Are those
On the
gonna
east,
just be holes in?
We-
the side?
We're able to work around those, yeah, so that's.
So you see, your property line is the black line.
Okay, how many feet is that?
What do you mean?
It's
Probably
From
another-
the road,
From the curb?
probably 6 feet now.
No, because it's actually about 10 feet, it looks like, because it's
10
5 foot
feet, yeah.
sidewalk, just by scaling, it looks like it's a little over 10 feet.
So we have the 10 feet of from the road into your grassy area is not your property.
And I'm sorry, the red is the new curb and the blue.
But it's the
old?
existing, and we're not relocating the curb in that area.
Oh,
Go
No,
this
it's
point
staying the
there,
same.
so yeah, so
It's
this
staying
is,
the same here, and then a 5-foot sidewalk, and then you have an additional 5 feet until your property line
5 or
begins.
6 feet, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that will remain grass, that extra 5 feet between your property and the back.
And
sidewalk.
obviously you reseed and.
yeah.
Yes.
we do everything.
Oh, yeah, we'll
And
work that.
also, another thing that I mentioned on the other meeting, the city has a program of planting trees. And we do care, we plant a big number of trees every year, and we continue to increase that. And everyone is entitled to ask for a tree into their property if they want, there is a whole form. And particularly, for instance, in some of those, houses that there is a lot of places between the front yard and all that. You can come and ask us to plant a tree. We'll give a couple of options because we have to see. What we have overhang on utilities and all that, and if there is nothing also underneath because of the roots. And if it doesn't affect the sideline, we'll plant the tree as well. But this is after the project is complete, so you guys can keep that in mind. We're giving out trees.
How long will it take to put the sidewalks in?
So again, so let's say if we start in October, right? And we'll probably, hopefully we may get a good part done until December. Then usually we don't force the contractor to work. A lot of these guys shut off during the winter because it's much more expensive. And then they are back in the spring. And then probably it will be another 6 to 8 weeks, right? To finalize the sidewalk. And then you guys, we're gonna be gone. Because then it's another contractor that comes and then we'll do the milling and paving. So we're hoping to pave those roads by second semester of next year.
So if you start on a road in October and it's December and you haven't finished that part.
No, we finish. We don't open more. We don't allow that. That's part of what is written in our bid. Otherwise, these contractors, you know what they do? It's a war zone here. They go and open everything. No. They have open, close, open, close, open, close. So that's why usually probably we do not know exactly where they're gonna start. I would say it's probably McCallister. No,
Richmond Hill.
Richmond,
Yeah.
because Francis, we need to do a couple of changes on those poles, so we're gonna probably ask them to start there. So we're probably gonna have at least that block, if they start this year in October, complete this year. And then we probably, depending where we are, we jump to McCallister and then we'll take from there.
Very good.
Okay, guys, do you have any more questions? No, I wanna again, thank you everybody for your patience, for coming here to express your concerns. Again, my office is right here, right on the other side of the corridor. Everyone is welcome to come talk to us anytime. We're here. I live here, I'll be honest. So, yeah, and for me, it's very important to listen to everyone's concern. Like back to your plow situation, I'm gonna look at it. I'm gonna talk to the driver, I'm not gonna forget. And when get to the winter, I'll see if there's something that we can change to how we plow the road. So I need the feedback to make it better. Okay, so I appreciate everyone's time, appreciate all the staff that also came here, they put hours to make the drawing work in a way that you guys mentioned. I know you asked me to look at a couple of things related to more green and all that, we tried. For us to do that, we'll have to encroach in private property, so we couldn't put it in.
Okay.
But we look at it also.
Okay.
So I just want to let you know that. Well,
And I'd also be happy, I was doing some research on the Norwalk tree planting initiative, and I know that they often like to do whole neighborhoods. So a few of us are interested and may help to coordinate that, so we can maybe.
and also I'm looking for
40 trees
volunteers.
to offset
If you want to be one of the volunteers, that has nothing to do with the sidewalk, but as part of this whole tree program that we have, we want to really expand the tree canopy, we received $1 million grant to work on that. I think last year we planted over 521 trees. I believe we're on 200 and change this year. I have another 200 coming this fall. But what we look for is some volunteers in the neighborhood, because sometimes although we want to plant the trees, believe it or not, we get some pushback of planting trees also. So, the job of the volunteer would be, they know better the neighborhood, they know where a tree could fit better. They can go and talk to their neighbor and do that. So we are, if any of you are interested on being like the tree volunteer, just shoot me an email and I'm gonna put it, I have an arborist under our staff, and with our tree advisory committee, we have a whole group that just works on it. So we'll take any help that you guys can do. Thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So much for your time. Thank you. Thank you. I do have a question for you.
Yes.
Because I just want to confirm, so where I live, 27 Francis Avenue. So our driveway goes up, is an incline, and then there's also like a side driveway.
Right, so you're talking about this that extends this piece over here.
So that's a grassy patch where our mailbox is on, and then the left side, I guess this area here. So what part is the sidewalk exactly?
So as far as our line work is, so this darker gray is it's your driveway opening. Yeah, so that is your driveway opening. After the driveway opening, what it does, the driveway is flush with the road,
Yeah,
and then it begins to slope up at a gradual slope until it's at a full height with the sidewalk. Is that your question or?
so, yes, I mean, this is my driveway. This is like an area of like more driveway, and
Well,
this
it's a
is,
pull up area.
it's like
So
a
that-
pull out,
That will
so,
become sidewalk.
oh, so this whole area here is sidewalk.
So the sidewalk is where the grade is. So if this is a pull up area right now, and it's with asphalt or concrete, whatever it is, that is going to become the new sidewalk. If we go, if we pose this question into zoning, they do not allow that type of parking. So they don't allow parking in the front setback of the property.
Okay, so that's going away, okay.
It will be going. I mean, you do have your driveway, and that's the same instance in every place that we go. So I'll tell you, for example, on McCallister.
Yeah,
I think one property, you can even see it.
yeah.
This property here, this will probably go away, even though they don't have a sidewalk.
Yeah.
We don't allow, parking and that comes directly from zoning.
Okay.
In your case, that area is gonna become sidewalk area.
Okay, yeah, that's why I wanted to come over and just confirm with you, because I asked earlier, but I wasn't sure if it was understood the right way.
Okay,
So,
did that answer your question?
okay, it does, yeah.
Yes,
I mean, that's,
so you won't be able to pull up and park in that area once you put the sign.
yeah, yeah.
Because then the vehicle, they will be obstructing the sidewalk.
Yeah, okay. Now, yeah, I mean, the other thing is that because we have a stone wall. Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so my driveway, it's very tight because of the stone wall that's here. And then there's the issue that we have like garbage cans, like being able to put it down by the curb.
Okay.
So I guess my concern is that with the sidewalk, I won't have any space to leave the garbage can in and a way that I won't be, blocking the
So
driveway.
there is a gap, so there will be a gap, there you can see it, in between so here is the back of the sidewalk.
Yeah,
There will be a gap of grass, I assume, between the back of the sidewalk and the wall.
okay,
So I guess in that occasion, you may be able to locate the garbage
Yeah.
can to the recycle.
yeah, okay.
Does that help you in any way?
Kinda, it's a change.
I know, and it takes
Yeah.
time to adapt, we're doing our best to make it
Yeah,
fit.
no, I get
And the idea is to keep it consistent. If we do something in one property, we want to do the same thing for everyone else.
Yeah, no, I got it. No, thank you so much. Again, thank you for your time. Okay, have a good night.
Is it possible to get a copy of that?
Yeah, certainly.
That's great. Should I give you my email address or what's the best way to do that?
Like I said, after this meeting, we're gonna go back to the drawing board to take some, of the comments that we received into consideration.
Yeah.
So there may be a different iteration of it.
Okay.
I think once we come up with the final product of it, then I'll feel comfortable sharing that. But I can get an email.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you doing this. It's fascinating.
Yeah, this took some time to draft and design, but we got it done. And like I said, we've done this throughout the rest of the city, and we know we have a very high level of confidence that it is going to work. We just ask for patience and see the finished product.
I'm not yet. I'm not getting to it. Thank you.
No problem.
Say